como el deseo que tuve de niño. Y ahora ese sueño que ya es realidad. Los dos sabemos dónde va el camino. Directo a la ducha, baby, vamos a hacerlo ya.
Do you want to learn how to make empanadas? Well, you made it to the right video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the dough and how to make the filling. In this case, we're doing pineapple, but you can substitute with any other fruit of your preference. Empanadas can be made with any filling, but if you want to make them with pineapple, start by peeling it. Remove the crown and the bottom part first and then the skin. Notice that I'm cutting the hard part first and then I go deeper on the second round because I usually place them on the freezer and make delicious smoothies later. Then I cut them into larger pieces so we can remove the heart. Cut them into long strips, then into smaller pieces. Notice that those pieces are still very large. If we leave them in this size, they can break the dough of the empanadas and you won't be able to fry them. Therefore, cut them into smaller pieces and place them in the pan where you're going to cook them. Repeat the same process until you finish with all the pineapple. Add the pineapple to a large pan. Add the sugar and the salt. Salt will not make this jam salty. It will only accentuate the flavors. Stir and cook at medium heat until it begins to brown. Once bubbles begin to form, continue cooking from 3 to 5 minutes or until pineapple has already released all the juice and begins to thicken. Be sure to taste because depending on how much acidic your pineapple is, you need to add more sugar. Dissolve the cornstarch in water and stir very well until there are no lumps. Add it all at once and start stirring immediately or it will settle at the bottom and create big lumps it won't be able to dissolve. Cook from 2 to 3 minutes or until it has completely thickened. If your jam is very liquid, dissolve more cornstarch and add it. We need a thickened jam to assemble our empanadas. Place the jam in a bowl and cover with plastic wrap above the jam, touching the jam and not the bowl. Let it cool down completely before starting to assemble the empanadas. You can refrigerate while we prepare the dough. In a large bowl, add the flour, sugar, and salt. Stir in for a few seconds and make a hole in the center to add the oil and the lukewarm water. You can add half the water first. Stir in for a few seconds, and once you need to add more water, do it little by little as needed. We all measure ingredients in different ways. That's why you might need to add more or less water. Continue mixing until you have a compacted dough. If your dough still sticks to your hands, add a few spoonfuls of flour at a time. No more than 1/4 cup of flour. Once it's ready, knead it for about 2 to 3 minutes. Once the gluten is well agitated and developed, place the dough in a plastic bag and let it rest for 30 minutes. Bring the dough and begin to form small-sized balls. You can measure them by eyeballing them. Just make sure they'll have the same size. You could also weigh them like I did and get 12 empanadas of 50 grams each, which I believe it's a good size for an empanada, but you can make them bigger or smaller if you want. Make sure they're round and smooth on the outside. Then cover them with a damp kitchen towel or paper so they do not dry out while we form the rest of the empanadas. I am going to make my empanadas with this tortilla maker. I'm also going to link it in the video description so you can find it if you so desire. And you can also use a cutting board to flatten them. I'm also going to use 2 pieces of plastic wrap so that the dough does not stick to the tortilla maker or the table. Place the ball and flatten it a little bit with your hands and then with the tortilla maker. Notice that I turned the dough after flattening it, since I have noticed it's not even on both sides. This way, I make sure my dough has the same thickness all around it. Remove the plastic from above and place the pineapple filling we made earlier. Fold the empanada in half and make sure to close the sides very well. It cannot be left open, otherwise we cannot fry it. It will be a mess. Oil will get dirty. It would also start splashing all over our kitchen and you still won't be able to eat that messy empanada. So you better take the time to make them right in the first time. And also maximize all the dough because you're gonna lose those ingredients. Close the edges with the fork and place the empanada on a baking sheet tray with parchment paper on top. And repeat the same procedure with all the balls. Remember, you can watch this video as many times as you need, and also leave your questions and I will gladly answer them all. Once we have assembled all the empanadas, put them aside while we heat the oil. Once the oil has reached a temperature of 375 Fahrenheit degrees, we cook the empanadas. If you don't have a thermometer, you should heat the oil for about 8 to 10 minutes. Add the empanadas one by one, being careful not to toss them in, but rather placing them slowly into the oil. Make sure they do not stick to each other or to the bottom of the pan, and let them cook for about 5 to 7 minutes, turning them from time to time. Have a place with some napkins on top handy so you can place them there when they're ready. And once the time has passed or they have reached the desired golden brown color, take them out of the oil and let them cool for about 2 minutes. In the meantime, add more empanadas to the oil and repeat the process. Add sugar to a plate. Bring the empanadas and cover them completely with sugar. This will not only help them look beautiful, but also will make them taste delicious. If this is your first time on this channel, don't forget to follow or subscribe depending on where you're watching, and go ahead and leave all of the requests of recipes that you want to watch in this channel. Leave them in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.